culturally how they were talking about
what?
What do you guys think of DevOps being taught so much as a culture without a lot of labs being included in the courseware?
I think it's weak. Yeah, I think that's weak. Simply just saying, oh, you should, that's like saying you should manage the right way, but not implementing it, right?
But at the same time, a lot of the people that attend that DevOps Bootcamp are executive levels, basically D-level and up.
Thank you. This is exactly why I wanted to ask you.
If you go deep on some shit, they're like, I've got a meeting, and they sneak out.
It seems like the cultural part is actually the priority. The technical part is the second thing that needs to come after the introduction to it.
The cultural change represents more disruption.
Right.
There's people have spent, the last 10 years building up their turf to be the director, to have their organization, to create their silo. They've carved out their silos, and
now we're trying to take their silo away from them.
So that part, without a doubt, is the cause of most friction.
Because if they're not on board, it doesn't happen. No matter what technical tools you get or whatever for the team. Am I tripping or no?
I mean, they're mostly aware that there's a cultural issue. It's something that has to change.
It has to be a top-down exercise, though. If C-levels aren't driving that change, it's not going to work.
Everybody's on board. Even if you create a mandate from the top, nobody's going to do anything.
I experienced that.
I just got from back from an enterprise organization that should remain unnamed in this podcast, in this video, but they're fully aware that there's a cultural issue, and they're fully aware that stuff needs to change, but they're all like naysayers, like, we'll never make it, that'll never work here, we can never do that. I mean, a lot of them are mainframe guys, and some of what they say I totally get, like, you can't go small work items and smaller bat sizes on a mainframe module that has 5,000 lines of code in it. Like, it's hard to break that down without breaking it.
So that's why, and we talk about this a lot in our DevOps classes. You pick a small service to migrate over into that, kind of, application first architecture, right? And use that
microservice strangler pattern.
Exactly. Start with something small, like automate the deployment of the NTP daemon, the time daemon, on all your servers and network devices. Just build some automation around that, so that it doesn't matter if it's a Windows server, a Linux server, a Cisco router switch, whatever it is, you manage all the devices in your organization's time through this one automated process, right? And if you update that, you retool it, whatever, it's all bundled in its package right there. And then you move on to another small win, right?
See, that's the thing. You don't have to solve all the world's problems on the first iteration.
Okay, I completely agree with you guys. But I want to know, this leads me to my next point. So, do you think the way that it's being taught across the board, generally speaking, should get more technical, or do you think it should remain the way that it's being taught now?
I think there should be a little more technical. And that's one of the things that we were talking about at the event yesterday.
That's what made me start thinking about it.
And that's that, at the end of the DevOps Bootcamp, there's mention of a lot of tools, but there isn't enough depth on the tool to really tell you what to do next.
Sure.
Right? And I think a couple people mentioned that during the meeting yesterday.
Right.
But at the same time, you don't want so much depth that you start losing the D-levels and up, because there not the implementers. They're not the worker bees. So if you start going deep on something, you're going to lose them. But I think just like a simple video, not a deep dive, but just a end-to-end tool chain example.
Sure.
Maybe not end-to-end, but each tool, this is where it fits in the end-to-end, and you kind of chain that stuff together instead of just showing a slide on a particular tool. Say, this is where this tool fits in the tool chain. Here's another tool. But if you're going to show a video, especially in that environment, the problem with nerds with beers is if you're going to show a video on one of those tools in that boot camp, it can't be more than like 3 or 4 minutes. If it's like a 10, 15, 20-minute video, you're going to lose those people again.
Here's the other thing, really, this is where platforms like GitHub really shine, right?
Okay.
What you do is you give back to the community, share things like setup templates and things like that, so the nerds can go back and actually do labs.
I'm saying.
And
So
the
then
director
that's what the
level,
video should
the
be about,
director
then.
level people get the pitch, right? And if they don't want to do the labs, they don't have to do the labs. But the nerds can go say, all right, here's the big picture. Now, if you want some hands-on, go ahead and hit our repo, download it, and then go ahead and run it. And it shouldn't even have to be within like our environment. It should be generic enough that they just plug in their GCP, their Azure, their AWS credentials, their Rackspace credentials, whatever it is, their own private cloud. It should be as simple as they just punch in some credentials and then they're deploying in their own cloud the templates we've shared with them.
But what are you talking about
it
deploying?
can
That's
be.
where you mentioned that before, and that's where you kind of lost me, because as Jay and I set up these Amazon machine instances, anything that's not just open source, off the shelf Jenkins or something that doesn't require a trial license that's going to expire, or something that requires no licensing at all. If it's not like that,
you need a way to export your SSH keys to a central store so that your private keys are in one place, right? And then you automate dynamically the discovery of your cloudy inventories in each of those different environments.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if you have something that requires licensing, you can't store it in an AMI. It'll restrict you, at least in AWS. AWS will restrict you from spinning. You can create an AMI if you, for example, if you use a cloud piece.
I think, are we about to raise up or what? Or are we gonna? Do I want another beer?
I think I'm cool with whatever you guys want to do.
That means I'm gonna get another beer. One more. Thank you.
Yeah. It's supposed to be nerds with beers, not nerds without
beers. Exactly.
So anyway, when we've created like cloud-based instances,
I don't think there's a perfect glue there. I think there's some tools like that one I mentioned, CloudVolt or like Cisco Cloud Center. There are some tools out there that automate orchestration for you.
What I'm saying is now you're restricting what you can possibly show. So what we're trying to do is say, here are the possible tools that you can use in this tool chain, and you want to put something in a GitHub repo. Almost all the stuff that I would want to show requires licensing, and they wouldn't be able to just put in some AWS credentials or Rackspace credentials because the AMI wouldn't be available. They would still have to go and get their own trial license and do the installation. I can't just say, here you go, here's an AMI, spin it up, because it would say, you can't create an instance of this AMI because it has cloud-based licensing, or it has Puppet licensing, or it has this, or it has that. Unless they're installing it from scratch with their own Puppet license or with their own cloud-based license, the AMI won't spin up. That's how it works on AWS. I'm sure it's similar on Azure. As I spin up SharePoint instances or Team Foundation Services instances, the same thing is true. If you try to save a copy of the image, when you try to spin it back up again, it says, hey, there's proprietary licensing stuff in here. You only paid for one instance. Now you're trying to spin up 15. We're not going to let you do that.
Okay, so
to put it in a repo and spin it up, you got to figure out something.
Can they use the trial license out or like 30
Yeah, that's what I'm
days?
saying. In order to use the trial license, they would have to install it themselves. Or in some cases, you could do the installation of the software up to the point where it asks for the key, and then they could take it from there. But that's basically the point that I'm making. They would have to go through the process of getting their own trial license. You can't just have it all set up and put it in GitHub and say, just click here and we'll spin it up for you, because that doesn't work.
So now that you've heard that side, is your answer yes or no? That's what I really want to know. That's what I'm trying to
Yes or no to what?
Do you think it should be more technical, or should it remain cultural? Now that you know that he's presented the side that it's
that doesn't change my stance at all. The reason, look,
it's just a solution for making it technical.
You still, all right. So fine.
And I guess that's my real question. Is there a solution available that could circumvent that at this time that would make it worth teaching?
A video demo. You can't really go. I mean, your video demo, or you can
still post.
You want to get them hands
still
on.
Post to GitHub. Look, dude. Everyone. Why? No. Listen. All the people in the DevOps community, they expect that. Like everyone else is using that
saying
platform.
Post to GitHub, but you're not being specific about what you're going to post. And
I would no. What I'm saying is
you
you post labs that they can run on their own. All right, so it's not
to
automated.
so
it's not automated. Can I finish, man?
No,
it's not automated to the point where you simply
I want to
click.
talk over you, and so nobody can hear what you're saying. I'm just fucking with you. Go ahead.
Look, dude. So it's not
so serious, man.
Don't get your panties in a knot.
My panties aren't in a knot. I'm trying to finish.
Drink beer. What can I say?
So whatever. Fuck you guys.
Go ahead, we're
Slap
listening.
it.
We're listening. Go ahead.
Slap the penis up on the table and tell your story.
It's all good, man.
Stop interrupting Owen. Come on.
Don't
let the man
cross
speak.
the stream.
This is like
Don't
I spoke
cross
my
the
piece.
stream.
I'm good. I'm
this
good.
is like South Park. Can I finish? Can I finish? There's nothing left to talk about.
Well, man, I'm curious what you want to put in GitHub. I really am. I'm really curious.
Actually,
what
I did
the
want to hear-
solution is.
I told you guys. No, I told you guys. No, look, dude, look. If you're going to have a high-level technical briefing, you bundle that with some labs that they can run on their own. And yes, they can download them from GitHub. And no, we don't have to automate the deployment of how they decide to build out an Azure infrastructure, a GCP, AWS. I don't care how they build their infrastructure. We can provide lab templates that are valuable to them that they
So
can then
what would-
figure
what
out
would
how
be
to
in the
build it
lab?
on their own.
What would
We
be in
don't
the
have
lab
to tell
template?
them how to like run their credit card through Amazon. They should know how to do that.
But
We don't
then-
have
so
to
then
tell
what do
them
you-
how to spin up an AMI. They can
What are
figure
you
that out
including
somewhere else.
in the lab
We-
template then? If you're not including that stuff, what are you including?
We're
What's there
including
then?
we're including the architecture needed to spin up their application, right?
So you're saying include blank servers. Here's your
No.
here's
That was my
your
next
Linux
question.
server with
I
nothing
am-
on it.
no.
Here's the instructions for setting up
So,
Puppet.
so you take your it's basically a Puppet manifest or an Ansible playbook, right? Which actually starts with a base image and installs all the software that needs to be installed on there so that you got your full stack deployment.